Welcome back in to the Sports Source. Richard Rivera and all the team at Express Frame want to wish you and yours a festive holiday and a blessed Christmas day. And thanks from me to all of our sponsors, not just the one we've mentioned live today, but all the ones you've seen throughout the show and you've seen all year. These are locally owned businesses, and I appreciate them for supporting the Sports Source for 21 years. We're about to start year number 22, which is absolutely amazing. So thanks to all of these fine sponsors for bringing you this show week after week, year after year. All right, time for a few more holiday-themed Tennessee football questions. And I will start with Will Overstreet. Let's take a look at the visual here. All right, Clark Griswold over-leveraged himself, and he really needed a big Christmas bonus, or he'd have been in trouble. He spent too much money. He needed that bonus. What does Josh Heupel really need to avoid trouble next year?
Wow. Good question. I think he needs a really good performance from Nico. I mean, I think that's what people want to see. I think that's going to be the most important thing to people saying this team's going to be good the following years. So I think a performance from Nico that comes out that gets people excited, that's going to be the big deal that he needs.
And I'm glad you said, I thought somebody would go with the win-loss record or something. I was going to go Nico because, like Clark buying the pool, they invested a lot of their NIL money in Nico. They need it to be good money. They need that money to be well spent. So, yeah, Nico. All right. Next one, Mike Stoll. The visual. Oh, look at that. Gray and black. Should Tennessee continue to don they now their gay apparel? Festive.
Oh,
Festive.
okay.
Festive.
Not the orange helmet. It
didn't pop up after last year's.
I'm superstitious.
South Carolina
That
loss.
was not good.
There you go.
Orange helmet goes. I like some of the other uniforms. I mean, change it up.
What's happened
These
to you?
these kids like it. Why not? You got to keep pace with everybody else, or you aren't 13th in recruiting. Drop to 20th.
That's really made a
Or
difference.
you fall behind Kentucky with their silver aluminum foil helmets.
It's just so silly. Everybody wears a white uniform. Everybody's got a black uniform. Everybody's got a gray uniform. I don't get the
money.
Get the joy.
Yeah.
of it.
It's all
Yes,
about
that's it.
Revenue.
Yeah. Yes, it's selling merchandise.
If I'm a
It's
player,
not
I
about
want more
recruiting.
NIL money, so sell more uniforms.
All right, Ryan Callahan. We got to speed this up. Ryan Callahan, here's your. Is the Tennessee football program more or less fragile than it was last Christmas?
I'll say less because the roster is better. I think they've continued to improve the roster. It's not perfect. It's not there, but it's getting there. It depends on Nico. To Will's point, I think all this stuff hinges on how good is Nico Yamaliava. But if he lives up to the hype, I think the rest of the roster is improving. They're in better shape, and they're on a pretty solid foundation where we're looking at 8-4 as kind of the floor for this program. That's obviously a step forward.
Okay. Marlon Walls, let's go to yours. What was the biggest nutcracker of the year? The surprise loss at Florida or the blowout loss at Missouri?
Let's go Florida, Tennessee, because all I heard was this is the worst Florida team.
Yeah.
The recruiting is not up to par, and then they go out there and they kick us in our teeth, and we can't stop the counterplay to save our life. So I say Florida. Missouri
agree.
turned out to be a pretty good team.
Yeah, exactly. Florida was pretty much, they were a little better than, we had people on this show before the season's talking about 30 wins, but they were a little better than that, but
Not much.
Florida
not much.
Stone.
Yeah, that was the Missouri thing. You at least lost. Missouri was kind of you last year.
Yeah.
You kind of traded places in
The
Missouri.
score was ugly with the loss one.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple more here. Will West, here's yours. See George Bailey there. Bedford Falls fell apart without George Bailey. Though I will say Pottersville looked like a lot more fun. I think that every year. It's like, I'd rather be in Pottersville. But, all right. Bedford Falls fell apart without George Bailey. Tennessee's football team would fall apart without what player next year, Will West?
Without question, that's Nico, right? It's the quarterback. It is. Also, I think he's kind of the poster child for all of your NIL collective situation that so many people have praised. And so I think there are a lot of dominoes that fall if Nico doesn't pan out. So I think Nico's the guy.
I think that's a fair answer. Let me twist. We got a second here. Let me twist this, though. We haven't seen Nico. We really haven't seen him. And for all we know, let's say he, after week one, it becomes Jake Merklinger, and he's really good. Okay. Is there someone we have seen that they can't live without next year? And I'm thinking of one guy. You don't have Wright. You don't have Small. We've talked about Dylan Sampson. I agree with you. It's quarterback. But I would put Dylan Sampson
Yeah.
somewhere on that list of guys. You're going to need him next year.
Well,
Is there somebody else you put on ahead of him?
James Pierce
Pierce,
could be up there
Pierce?
too, just because you're saying you're breaking in a new secondary and you need the pass rush. And if you don't get that, you're going to have problems in this league as
But I
well.
think
Okay.
you got more edge rushers coming in, don't you, than good running backs, or what you know they can do. The value at running back's pretty big, John. I think you're right.
What about Squirrel White? We still waiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how much in between the tackles Sampson is.
Cooper. Yeah.
I think
But you got to get him out
Or
of that
Cade
cage,
Mays-
man.
or
You
Cade
got to
Mays
uncage
coming,
the
Cooper.
cheetah.
It's okay, Campbell. Don't worry about it.
Well, what about
You
Keenan
got any math
Pili?
problems?
Yeah.
Is Keenan Pili a guy, because that we
We didn't
saw
see
what
him.
it was without him, and it was not
we didn't
great,
see
Aaron
right?
Beasley.
All right,
Yeah.
those are good. All right, one last one very quickly here. Chuck, here's your visual. Is the 2024 SEC schedule for Tennessee a nice list or a naughty list for a team breaking in a new quarterback? Now, you've got Arkansas losing record, Florida losing record, Mississippi State losing record, Vanderbilt losing record, Kentucky was what, 7-5? So, but you also have at Oklahoma
Right.
and at Arkansas to start. You've got at Georgia, Alabama in there. Is it a nice list or a naughty list for a new quarterback?
No, it's a naughty list because you're going on the road. Your first two SEC starts, Oklahoma and in Arkansas. Those are not easy places to play. You're going to have to score some points at Oklahoma for sure. And Arkansas is a tough place to play too. I mean that's a naughty list, John.
Does anybody think it's a nice
I,
list?
I think it's nice because you got Mississippi State and Arkansas instead of anybody else from the SEC West.
Okay.
So,
And Vanderbilt, who
Yeah.
you always get, but still, that's a game. Okay.
yeah. Now the road games are hard, but I
Yeah.
still think the opponents could have broken a lot worse.
Okay. What do you think, Lou?
I'm with Chuck. I think because you start out on the road when you have a redshirt freshman quarterback, that's tough.
Chuck, Will, Marlon, Ryan, Mike, Will, Bob, who had to leave early because the Vikings were playing. We all want to say Merry Christmas to you. I want to thank you for watching all these years and for sticking with us. And we will be right back here next week for our Citrus Bowl preview and then on into the new year. Have yourself a happy and safe Christmas, and we'll see you right back here next week. Merry Christmas.